Delaney,
Here.
Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Thompson,
Here.
Councilmember Swanson,
Here.
and Councilmember Colbeck.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda. Is there any additions, changes, or deletions to our agenda from anyone? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I so moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say no, and motion carries. The consent agenda. The consent agenda contains the following items for approval: the December 2nd, 2024 special meeting minutes, the December 2nd, 2024 regular meeting minutes, the payment of claims, a listing of bills, and the November financial reports. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any questions, discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say no, and motion carries. Community concerns. Do we have anyone signed up for community concerns, Deb, or did you receive any electronic or written concerns?
We did not, Mr. Mayor.
Nothing at all this week. Okay, all right. Legal. Ordinance 162 4th Series, and this ordinance introduced on the December 2nd council meeting, if approved, will rename the former County Road 67 to 2nd Avenue Northeast, and the ordinance is now ready for council approval. We'll have to do a roll call vote on it, and so I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance 162 4th Series.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 162 in the 4th series.
Second.
And there is a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Stephanie, if you would do a roll call vote for us, please.
Mayor Delaney,
Yes.
Councilmember Swanson,
Yes.
Councilmember Colbeck,
Yes.
and Councilmember Thompson.
Yes.
And that motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 163 4th Series, and that's an ordinance amending chapter 153 and adding a new section 153.50 to the city code regarding the regulation of cannabis and hemp businesses. The ordinance has been reviewed by the Planning Commission, and a public hearing was held on December 11th to hear public comment on the proposed ordinance. The Planning Commission is now recommending that the council move forward to approve the ordinance. The ordinance is slated for council consideration at a special meeting of the council on December 20th to ensure the ordinance is in place by January 1st. So this ordinance just needs to be introduced at this time, and I will introduce that ordinance.
If I could just make one clarification on this ordinance, please, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
It was found out after the Planning Commission public hearing on Wednesday that Veterans Park and Bennett Park were inadvertently left off the map. And so I just wanted in that 500 buffer for a park. So we would have to include those two parks on this map, just so you're aware of that.
Okay, so with that new information, then would the council have time to review those buffer zones at a later date, or are we introducing it with the 500-foot buffer zone?
Jason, can you speak to that? Does that make it a big difference with those? Veterans Park is right downtown, and then the Bennett Park is down by the, I shouldn't say down by, over by the North Casey's.
Yeah, I think it was the version that is the 500, and I mean it wouldn't make a huge difference. The the city council has the authority to kind of amend an ordinance that kind of in this process. You just can't change it so dramatically that it is essentially a different ordinance. But if you want to reconsider or think about that setback, I don't know if that creates an issue as far as, kind of zoning things out where it's located, if it creates any issues there, with that additional 500-foot buffer in those locations. But you can certainly look at it and reconsider it. It isn't something that dramatically changes the ordinance, so I'd be comfortable just kind of going forward with it. If you do want to, even if you want to make that change. But yeah, that is something the city council can consider.
So we could introduce the ordinance at this time, and then at a later date during discussion, we could change just small portions of that ordinance, not the entire ordinance, but that
Yeah.
wouldn't interfere with the process, and we wouldn't have to start over completely. Is that what I'm hearing you say, Jason?
Yeah, it's the recommendation of this draft, but that doesn't mean that's the final draft. There can be changes made to that, and that frequently happens. It's just that if you were to make a kind of very significant change that kind of alters what it was, then I would want for there to be public, the opportunity for the public to review that. If it's just a small distance buffer change, I don't think that's significant enough to really require.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move ahead with the introduction of the ordinance at this time. Let's see, that puts us at. Next up is ordinance 164, the fourth series. And this ordinance is being introduced to establish the city's fee schedule for 2025. And following revisions and additions have been made to that fee ordinance. And you can see in our packet those changes. And so again, I would move that, or I would just introduce this ordinance at this time also, and then that would be addressed at our January 6th meeting. Okay, and that brings us up to engineering. And so, Travis, I'll turn that over to you. We have the 2023 Street and Utility Improvement Project, pay request number 13, and that's a final request. So could you give us some information on that?
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Holstein Excavating has completed the project by the completion date of December 1st. They've completed the punch list, and I believe at this time it's appropriate to make final payment, which would start the 2-year warranty period. So final amount due is just a balance of some items and then the 5% retainage. Amount due $433,998.30.
Any questions for Travis on that pay request? Travis, does that include the boulevard, seating, everything was completed? And we have a retainage yet in case next spring rolls around and nothing grew? Or next summer?
There is still warranty on that.
Okay.
So they have to come back and fix it if it doesn't grow. But
Okay, all right, yeah. But otherwise, it looks like the project came together very well, and it looks like everything it was put together where the water was draining well, and the streets are smooth, the curbs are straight, everything looked great. So I'm very impressed with their work. I'd entertain a motion then for approval of the pay request for $433,998.30.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. The 2022 Street and Utility Improvement Project, and this is pay request number 8. It's also a final payment, and that's for $38,978.24. And Travis, if you could give us some information on that for the record, please.
yeah, so thank you again, Mr. Mayor. One clarification, there was the wrong version of the final pay app was sent and included in the packet. What was at your desk is the revised one. Simply another $1,200 added to it, which was a coordination on some final cost items. So the actual amount is $40,178.24.
And can you refresh us on the 22 Street Utility Improvement Project? What exactly was this work?
This was 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue, southwest, directly south of where the 23 project was at, and then as well 3rd and 4th Street southwest in that area. So there was a couple of issues with some sewer services that needed to get addressed as a part of the punch list this year yet that didn't quite get done next year. But again, this pays the remaining balance out, and then the 2-year warranty period begins. Also, this was Holstein Excavating as well.
All right. I'd entertain a motion then for pay request number 8. That's a final payment of $40,178.24.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, and motion carries. New business, resolution 2024-63, and we've received more donations for the city's Pipestone Hiawatha Pageant Park Committee with their Lights at the Lodge event and the Minders Community Library. The Lights at the Lodge donation from Lewis Family Drug of $50. Mary Ann Hustad donated $750. Mick and LaDonna Myers donated $25. And John and Marcia Weiss donated $30. Also to the Minders Community Library, we had an anonymous donation of puzzles valued at $275. So I'd entertain a motion to accept these donations.
I so move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions? Well, just wanted to say thank you to these generous donators. The Hiawatha Pageant Park Lights at the Lodge committee, they do such great work, and that's all volunteer work too. I know there's people out there almost on a daily basis keeping that operational this time of year too. So, and it sure looks nice. If you haven't had a chance to get out there, check it out because it's awesome, really is. Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Resolution 2024-64. This resolution will allow the following fund transfers to be approved for fiscal year 2024 budget. And those funds are available in our packet, and then also an updated version here came in the beginning of our meeting. So Deb, do you want to just briefly explain without, I don't know if you want to read through every one of them, but I don't think that's necessary, so.
No. There's just, every year the council does approve fund transfers throughout the year that, are necessary whenever we do projects, and sometimes we have to move funds from one fund to another to pay for these projects. And what this resolution does is it moves those funds and council approves them. I would like to point out that this does happen every year on one, it's perpetual care. We do have to change that one at the end of the year. We'll find out. That's when we get the interest for the perpetual care that changes.
Okay.
So,
So it's basically accounting procedures that we need
Yes.
to do at the end of every year.
Yep.
So I'd entertain a motion to approve the transfers.
So move.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. This resolution establishes the days, times, and places of the regular meeting of the Pipestone City Council, and that's resolution 2024-65. I'd entertain a motion to approve that.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any questions? And that basically just sets our dates and times throughout the year for our regular meetings. And then if we happen to have a meeting date that falls on a holiday, we've automatically moved it to that Tuesday. So I would No other comments or anything?
Nope.
Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Approve resident manager of the Pipestone Country Club in regards to the liquor license. And the Pipestone Country Club is requesting that Stacy O'Hearn, Burmeister, serve as their new resident manager for the liquor license. All background checks have been approved and the city staff is requesting approval from the council. So I'd entertain a motion to approve Stacy.
So
So
move.
moved.
It's been moved, and do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you, Deb. You read my mind. Any discussion? I know Stacy's been doing a great job out there, and yeah, I have no issues at all. So all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Consider approval of the 2025 law enforcement contract. That contract was in your packet, and that's been, there was some slight changes to it that Jason had reviewed and suggested recommendations for changes. However, it's basically the same contract that we've had for several years now.
Correct.
And so I'd entertain a motion to approve that contract.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say no, and motion carries. Next up is a resignation from Tylen Vanderwall from the Public Works Department. And Tylen was a longtime employee, over 5 years, I believe it was. And certainly we'll miss him. He was a very valuable employee and did very good work. And we're certainly happy that he's found another position that he's interested in and moving forward in his life with that. So I'd entertain a motion to approve that resignation.
I so move.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Consider approval of the cost of living adjustment. And this is our yearly cost of living adjustment. It's a COLA raise, and it's based on the Social Security increase, which was set at 2.5, and the COLA implementation was, and their budget was 2.7. And so we need to decide whether we want to move ahead with a 2.5 or a 2.7 COLA increase. And that's a cost of living increase for the employees of the city of Pipestone. So I'd entertain a motion. I would move that we approve the COLA increase at 2.7% as we had budgeted for.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no, and motion carries. Okay. Next up is to schedule a special meeting for Friday, December 20th at 1 p.m. And I alluded to that earlier to approve ordinance 163, the 4th series. And that is on our cannabis ordinance, and we need to approve that before the end of the year so that we're ready to go. Because the state of Minnesota has approved that to start on January 1st, or that's what they had originally thought they would do. So I entertain a motion to approve that.
I move we approve that special meeting on December 20th.
And that'd be at 1 p.m. here in the council chamber.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. All opposed say no, and motion carries. Next up, we need to schedule our annual planning session, and that's something that we did last year in February. I think it was February 10th, and it took up most of the day. It's a Saturday, and it's a good thing to get together and just talk informally about what we would like to see happening with the city of Pipestone and our resources there over the next year, and what's important to us at that time, and maybe list a group of ideas that we can work on. And there's different avenues there that we could take. We could do it a couple of shorter meetings, or we could do one complete meeting again. I thought we would probably finish in about 3 or 4 hours last year, but we ended up going about 5 or 6, I think it turned out to be. So it can get quite lengthy, and then the city staff has an opportunity to come in and talk to us directly too about what their wishes are and where they would like to see their individual departments go throughout the year. So certainly something that we need to do. And just looking at your calendars, I hope we had a chance to come up with a day that works for everyone, but I would like to do it in January if possible this year. I think the sooner the better. And we have some open dates there on Saturdays in January that I'm flexible with. So just what are the wishes of the council?
Don for January.
My 18th and 25th is booked
Okay.
already.
And the week before that, I wouldn't be available either.
So the 11th, you would not be available,
Nope.
Scott?
Nope.
And the 18th and 25th are not available for you?
Correct.
Okay. And the 4th is before our first meeting, so that's too early.
How about February 1st?
So that puts us into February.
So much for
So,
January.
yeah.
For a
So
Saturday.
we've got the 1st or the 8th or the 15th
I could
or
do
the 22nd.
I could do the 1st or the 15th. Or the 22nd.
I see you're nodding your head, Verdine, so you're good.
I think
You're good on February
I think
1st?
the first, yeah.
And Roger, we're just gonna have to wing it with him, but yeah,
Shaking his head.
let's at this point plan on February 1
1st. Okay.
and start out at 9 a.m. and see how the day progresses.
So much for January, but it
Yeah,
was a good effort.
It's already mostly booked.
yeah, that's fine. Okay, all right. Next up is consider approval for closing the city offices at noon on December 24th. And the city administration is requesting the model of the Pipestone County policy concerning the closure of offices on December 24th. And if approved, the following language would be incorporated into the city's personnel policy. City offices will close at 12 noon on December 24th, when that day falls on a Monday through Thursday. Employees providing city services after 12 noon until the close of business shall be compensated at 1.5 times their regular rate of pay. And what that is in there for is if you have an essential employee that has to work the afternoon of the 24th, they should be compensated if no one else is working. And that policy went into effect with the county 20 plus years ago. I remember when they were talking about it and how we got that going. And it just makes sense because that's a family time and for a lot of people. And I think family comes first when you're in your working position too. It sure should anyway. So.
And if I could get just a little clarification on that, Dan, that would be the full-time employees, would that be correct?
Yes.
Yep, that's what
Yes.
that's what I said. For our liquor store staff and at the rec center too, sometimes it ends
Right.
up being a full-time, and if the public works should have to come in and plow or something.
So
That's
essentially, is it turning that 24th from noon until closing into a holiday
Correct.
with everything
An
else?
additional holiday, yes.
And then do we have a policy in place if someone is absent the day before a holiday or absent the day after a holiday with sickness, that they would not receive that compensation if they happen to come in for that day? Do we have anything in place for
We
that?
do not. No, we do not.
Okay, all right.
No. We did not.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think this is good language to add to our personnel policy. And, when it happens, it happens, Monday through Thursdays. So I'd entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and it has been seconded. Any discussion? I think we had good clarification on that, so thank you, Deb. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no, and motion carries. Thank you. Next up is closing comments. And do you have any closing comments? Does anyone have any?
I would like to say something.
Yeah, go ahead, Verdine.
So, to the residents of Pipestone, associates that are hired by the city, my fellow council members and Mayor Delaney, I'd like to say a joyous Christmas and a blessed New Year.
Well, thank you very much, Verdine. Appreciate that.
Dean.
Happy holidays to everyone, right? Yeah. Anything else from anyone else? I have a couple items that I wanted to just clarify, and it's just housekeeping. We've got 2 weeks left for the city of Pipestone garbage bags. So if you got those garbage bags out there, be sure and get them out on the curb during the regular garbage pickup day and get them used up. Otherwise, they will not be picking them up in 2 weeks, so at the end of the year. And then the Makota Reconciliation and Healing Horse Ride, the riders should be in Pipestone between 2 and 4 p.m. on Wednesday, December 18th. They'll come in on 111th Street, which is north of town, and they'll ride down Main Street and then turn around and head back down Hiawatha Avenue to the monument. So if you want to see those riders come into town, we should know more on the 18th exactly when that time period will be, but right around that 2 to 4 p.m. They'll be coming in on the 18th.
And when we get more information, we'll put it there as soon as we know the newspaper. Well, I can't say the newspaper, but the radio, social media,
Okay.
cable
Yeah,
access.
if we can keep your
Yep.
eye on social media if you're interested, and that is also open up to the public if you want to bring your horse in and ride with them for a short period of time or the entire ride, whatever you want to do. It is not only for the First Nation folks. They are the ones that are started it and are promoting it, but it is for everyone, and they wanted to make sure that they were clear on that too, that anyone can ride in that. And it's a reconciliation and healing ride, and that's certainly something that we need in this country. So
And I believe, Dan, they can pick up out by Playmore Curves out on 111th. They can join them out there, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a good spot to meet up if you're right here in town and wanted to get involved with it, because then they would come in around the Playmore and then go down Main Street to the east and then come back. I think they would go, well, let's see, if they're going to go all the way down Main and then head back up to Hiawatha, or if they're going to turn right at Hiawatha,
They're
we'll
gonna go-
find out.
They're going to go down as far as the businesses, I believe, and then
Then
come
turn
back
on
around.
Hiawatha.
Yep, and then come
Okay.
back to Hiawatha and go down Hiawatha to the monument.
Okay.
So
All
far.
right. Yeah.
That could change.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the only two things that I needed to mention too. So any other comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment then.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no, and motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Have a good night.